In this video, we want to go over how to set up a pull type sprayer. Hit the wrench button, and then we need to add a configuration. So we have our tillage configuration, would be the Case IH190 with the turbo chopper. We're going to add in the sprayer. So we hit the add button, and it wants to know what type of operation do we want to add. Since we're doing a sprayer, we're doing application, so we're going to choose the application button. We're just doing single product, because we're only controlling the rate of one product, so we'll hit the next. We're going to go ahead and use the Case IH190, hit next there. Now we need to change the implement, so we need to create a sprayer, so we're going to hit the add button, and it's going to be a rear drawbar implement. It's not a spinner spreader, so we don't check that, we just hit the next button. And then it wants to know what our full swath width is, so we're going to set up a 90-foot sprayer. We have 5 sections. Once you have 5 chosen, go ahead and hit next. Now it wants to know what width are our different sections. What we have to do here is go out and look at the sprayer and figure out how many nozzles are on each section. So after we've went out to the sprayer and we've counted how many nozzles we have, then we know we multiply the number of nozzles by the number of inches between each nozzle. So what we come up with is 10 foot for the first section, 20 foot for the second section, and 30 foot for the middle section. Then number 4, the center left section, it's 20 foot, and then the outside section again would be 10. So we need to go in there and we need to change those. We have to highlight which one we want, hit the calculator, and tell it 10 foot. We'll go to the second one, hit the calculator, tell it 20 foot. The third, tell it 30 foot. And the fourth is 20, and the outside is 10. So once you have all the correct settings for your boom width, go ahead and hit the next button. And then now it wants to know how far our nozzles are, or the area of application, how far beyond the hitch point is that. So what you need to do is take a tape measure, go out and measure from the hitch point of the tractor to the area of application. So we did that. It was 21.5 feet from the hitch point to the area of application. So go ahead and measure that and then put that in and hit next. Now, it wants to know, do we have anything extra on this, like a Norris UZ5. So if you have a Norris hooked to the system and you want to do auto boom height control, put a check mark where the Norris is. If you have the Optrix crop sensors for the infrared crop sensing ability and they're hooked to this, go ahead and put a check mark there. If you put a check mark there, it wants to know how many sensors do you have. So you can put 2 or you can put 4 depending on what you have. We're going to say we don't have any, so we uncheck it and we hit the next button. Now it wants to know the implement name. So we're going to say that it's an Ag 1,000-gallon sprayer. Okay, so Ag 1,000 gallons, the name of the implement. Hit a check mark. Now it wants to know, are we doing actual rate and logging control, or are we doing area logging only? Because we want to control the rate and log the rate, we want rate and logging control. If we were just doing this to record where we've applied, we would do area logging only and we would not have any of the rate control functions. But we're going to highlight rate and logging control and we're going to hit next. Now it wants to know what controller. We don't have any controllers set up yet, so we have to set one up. So we're going to hit the add button. So we're doing direct command and we're doing liquid product control. Our different options that we have is the complete direct command system from Ag Leader, or serial rate control, or a flow meter where we just are monitoring how much product's going through. What we want to do is the direct command because we want to control this rate as well as monitor it and record it. The next thing it wants to know is what type do we have? Is this a liquid product control? Or is it a stepper spreader control or a granular strip till control? So there's 5 different options that you can choose from. We're actually doing liquid product control, so we make sure that is highlighted and we hit the next button. Now it wants to know what are pulses per gallon of the flow meter. You have to go to the flow meter and there will be a little tag on there and it'll give you a number telling you how many pulses per gallon of product moves through there. So if you run a gallon through and it pulses 792 times, that's going to be your flow meter cow number. So you put in whatever that number says. If we're doing a Raven flow meter, you have to divide the number by 10. All other flow meters, you put the actual number in. So let's say it's a Raven system. We go out and we see that the number is 792. We're going to put in 79.2. Put our check mark in there, hit the next button. Suggested controller name is Direct Liquid. We'll just leave it at that. You can rename it if you want. Now it wants to know what container. A lot of people think, why do we need to know what container? You really don't need to on a single product sprayer, but if you ever get into direct injection or anything like that, then you have multiple containers that you can be spraying out of. So we want to keep track of everything by the container. So we're going to just call this new container the main spray tank. We're going to tell it that it is 1,000. Okay, we put 1,000 in there, but the units default to ounces. Got to make sure that you change that. We get a lot of people that don't get that correct, and change that to gallons. Now it wants to know the container name. We're going to call it main product tank. Now if we ever want to add anything to this sprayer, like direct injection, we could have product 1, product 2, product 3 as our other tanks. Now it wants to know, where is the tank located? Is it on the implement or is it on the vehicle? Well, this tank is on the implement of the sprayer. If you had saddle tanks, then they would be on the vehicle. Next thing it wants to know is, what is our primary speed source? Well, our primary speed source is coming from the GPS, and we're going to use radar as a backup. You don't have to have radar hooked to it, but it's going to look for radar if you don't have a GPS signal. And you could also put in a wheel sensor or filtered GPS for that. So we're going to tell it that it is radar, and we're going to hit next. Now it gives you a suggested configuration name. So it says Case IH 190 with the Ag Chem 1,000 gallon sprayer with direct liquid. So it kind of is a combination of your vehicle, your implement, and your controller. If you like that, just go ahead and accept it. Now that system is made. However, we still need a few things that we need to do. We want to go in and we want to manage the equipment. So we highlight our sprayer, we hit Manage Equipment, and then we want to go to the implement. And we want to go to the 1,000 gallon sprayer. At this point we can go in and we can put implement offsets in. So what this does, here's where we have our 12.5 feet, and then here's where we have any offset if for some reason the actual implement is offset or off-centered. We can also go into the Advanced tab, and this is where you can go in and you can change your widths. So if you didn't get the width set just perfect, you can go in and change your widths in here. It's a real nice feature, a real nice tool to help you fine-tune automated boom shutoffs. Hit the return button and that takes you back. You do have a hitch offset in here, so if you had a rear hitch on the vehicle, you could put a rear hitch on there and tell how far from the front hitch it is to the rear hitch. That's mainly going to apply if you're using like a fuel cultivator with a packer on the back. But that's where you would put that. So for the last part of setting up, or the final step of setting up our pull type sprayer machine, we need to go into the controller tab. We need to go to the controller settings, and we need to tell this system what type of valve are we trying to control. So we go in and we hit the control valve settings, and it wants to know, is this an inline servo? Is it a bypass servo? A PWM 12 volt, a pump servo, a PWM ground, a calibrated reflow, or a Ramsey valve? Most pull type sprayers, if they were 4 or 5 years old or older, are going to be an inline servo or a bypass servo. The inline servo means you have a servo in the line that's going to the boom, and it shuts off the flow that's going to that boom and makes more flow go back through the tank or the bypass because you're shutting the boom down. The bypass servo is a servo valve that's in the bypass line that shuts down the bypass and forces more spray to go out the boom because you're shutting that bypass line off. So they work totally backwards. If you're not sure what you have and you choose inline servo and you go to use the sprayer and it either opens all the way or closes all the way and it doesn't seem to work right, it's working backwards, just go in and change it to bypass servo. But if you know what you have on your sprayer, go ahead and choose it. The sprayer that we're talking about today has an inline servo, so choose the inline servo and then we're set. Go ahead and hit the button and you're ready to go to the field.